So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're in the middle of the story of the Bedouin and the Arab. So far, Mawlana has said that there was this Khalifa, this Caliph, who was so bountiful that everyone from Persia, Greece, Arabs, they would all come to his court and he would give everyone. So he was so bountiful that no one would go back from his court empty-handed. And in this time, in this period where this bountiful caliph lived, there was this man, a Bedouin man, and his wife who lived in poverty. And we started with the wife complaining to the husband. So complaining, we don't have anything, you're a poor man, we're just like the spider that's waiting for a fly to catch that fly. We don't have bread to eat. At night, we think the moon, disk of the moon is a loaf of bread, and so on. And the husband says, be patient. Poverty is pride. Don't think of poverty as a bad thing. And that's where we were at. So it's the back and forth between the husband and the wife, right? So last time the husband says, "Chand joy dakhlo kasht." For how long are you going to look for income and more produce? Why not appreciate what we have, what we already have? Look at these animals. Look at the birds. Look at the nightingale. They're all thankful for what they have, and they sing happily on the branches of trees, and they don't complain. Everything from the smallest gnat to the biggest elephant, Allah Ta'ala provides for everyone. So what an excellent provider God is, Allah Ta'ala is. So why are you afraid? Why are you anxious? And know that every pain is a piece of death. So if you can't escape a piece of death, you cannot escape death. So all of these sufferings we go through are reminders of death. And then he also said, you're my wife, so you should have the same quality as me. I'm a content man. Why are you so anxious? Why are you always seeking more and more? So that was where we were at. So that's the next section is نصیحت کردن زن مرشوی را که سخن از افزون از قدم و مقام خود مگو. So the wife is saying, yes, you're right. Contentment is a virtue, but you're not content. You're just poor. You don't have anything, right? Contentment is when you can have more and you decide to be content. You decide to be happy with what you have, but you have no other choice. So what you say is true, but you haven't attained that degree. You're not there yet. So yes, let's inshallah read this section. Yes, Ali John, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. Should I read the English, Sina Jan, or the Farsi?
Oh, actually, if you don't mind, it's a good idea to read the Farsi as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. نصیحت کردن زن مرشوی را که سخن افزون از قدم و از مقام خود مگو. لم تقولون ما لا تفعلون که این سخنها اگر چه راست است این مقام توکل تو را نیست و این سخن گفتن فوق مقام و معامله خود زیاد دارد و کبر مقتا عند الله باشد. زن بر او زد بانگ که ای ناموس کیش من فسون تو نخواهم خورد پیش. ترهات از دعوا و دعوت مگو رو سخن از کبر و وزو نخود مگو. چند حرف تمطراق و کاروبار کار و حال خود ببین و شرمدار. کبر زشت و از گدایان زشت‌تر روز سرد و برف آن که جامه تر. چند دعوا و دم و باد و برود ای تو را خانه چو بیت العنکبوت. از قناعت کی تو جان افروختی از قناعت ها تو نام آموختی. گفت پیغمبر قناعت چیست گنج گنج را تو وا نمی‌دانی ز رنج. این قناعت نیست جز گنج روان، تو مزن لاف ای غم و رنج روان.
Thank you, Ali John. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, brother Abdurrahman. How are you tonight?
Wa alaikum salam. I'm very well. Hope you're all well as well.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So we're still in the middle of the argument between the husband and the wife. Okay. Yeah, brother Abdurrahman, if you're not too tired, I know you just came, but would you mind reading the translation? We're just reading the Persian.
So from the top of that section, is it how the wife counseled her husband?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay, Bismillah. Bismillah. The wife cried out at him, saying, "O you who make reputation your religion, I will not swallow your spells anymore. Don't talk nonsense in your presumption and pretension. Go, don't speak from pride and arrogance. How long pompous and artificial phrases? Look at your own acts and feelings and be ashamed. Pride is ugly, and in beggars more ugly. Wet clothes after a cold, snowy day. How long pretension and palaver and bluster, O you whose house is the house of the spider? When have you illumined your soul by contentment? Of contentment you have learned the name. The prophet said, what is contentment? A treasure. You cannot distinguish the gain from the pain. This contentment is the soul's treasure. Do not you boast, a grief and pain to my soul. Don't call me your mate, don't flap so much. I'm the mate of justice, I'm not the mate of fraud. How are you walking with Amir and Bey when you are slitting the veins of the locust in the air? You are contending with dogs for the sake of a bone. You are wailing like an empty-bellied reed pipe. Don't look at me dully with contempt, lest I tell you what is in your veins. You have deemed your understanding superior to mine. How have you seen me, who am deficient in understanding? Don't spring upon me like a reckless wolf. Oh, better be without understanding than the disgrace of your understanding. Since your understanding is a shackle for mankind, it does not understand. It is a snake and a scorpion. May God be the enemy of your iniquity and deceit. May the deceitfulness of your understanding fall short of us. You are both the snake and the charmer. Oh, wonderful. You are the snake catcher and the snake. Oh, you disgrace to the Arabs. If the crow knew its ugliness, from grief and sorrow it would melt like snow. The charmer chants as an enemy. He is a spell upon the snake, and the snake is a spell upon him. If his trap were not a spell for the snake, how would he become prey to the snake's spell? The charmer, from greed and getting and making, is not conscious of the snake's spell at the time. The snake says, O charmer, beware, beware, you have beheld your own spell, now behold mine. You beguile me with the name of God, in order that you may expose me to shame and confusion. The name of God enthralled me, not your contrivance. You made the name of God a trap. Woe to you. The name of God will take vengeance from you on my behalf. I commit my soul and body to the name of God. Either it will sever the vein of your life by my stroke, or it will bring you into a prison as me. Rough speeches of this sort, volumes, the woman recited to her youthful husband.
Yes, volumes. So, okay, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So, the wife's quite upset, right? And she says, yes, what you say is right. Contentment is a virtue. The Prophet said, contentment is a treasure, but you're not content. That's not your rank. You're just poor, right? Contentment is when you have the choice, you have the option, and you choose to be content, but you're just poor. So this is all pretension. This is all presumption and arrogance, right? Pride is ugly, and in beggars, it's more ugly. It's more ugly when you don't have anything and you're proud. So what is this talking about contentment? Talking about contentment when you're not that. You have just learned the name. As قناعت هاتون نام آموختی. You just learned the name of contentment, but the reality of it is not in you. گفت پیغمبر قناعت چیست گنج. The Prophet said contentment is a treasure. So a truly content person doesn't need anything. Truly content person doesn't need anything else because he has that inner treasure within him or her. But your rank is not contentment. It's not true contentment. So Mawlana is, in a sense, through this woman complaining, Mawlana is also criticizing some of the Sufi groups who only talked about poverty, talked about contentment and dressing in rags and so on. But the reality of the spiritual poverty, of being totally reliant on Allah and realizing your own nothingness, that was not present in them. It was just a show, right? It was just a show of poverty. Look at us, we're dressed in rags, we don't have anything. That's not true contentment. And then inside there is that desire. Inside there is that greed, right? So the wife is saying to the husband, "Ba sagan zin ostokhan dar chaleshi." For the sake of the bone, you contend with dogs, and then you call yourself content. You're just like an empty-bellied reed pipe, right? So I know what's in your heart, right? So don't look at me with contempt. You think you're more intelligent than me? You've deemed your understanding superior to mine. You think you're more intelligent? No. Don't think that, right? Being without understanding, being without intellection is better than this kind of understanding that you have. Because your understanding is a shackle for mankind. You're a trickster, in a sense. It's like a snake. May I be free from this understanding of yours and this deceitfulness of yours. Because you're like a snake, and you're like the snake charmer. And you're the snake catcher and the snake. All disgrace to the Arabs. So she's quite upset. She's quite angry now. And then there's this analogy of the snake catcher, right? So again, apparently there were some Sufis in bracket, Sufis in quotation marks, who would engage in things like that, just catching snakes and incantations and chantings and things like that to show people that we have this miracle, we have this karamat and things like that. But the reality of faqr was not in them, right? So again, Mawlana, through this conversation between this wife and the woman, wife and the husband, Mawlana is criticizing those groups. So Mawlana is saying, yes, the snake catcher catches the snake with that spell, but before he does that, he himself has become caught by the snake. It's the snake that's charming him. It's the snake that's catching him, right? But because the charmer is preoccupied with greed and either getting money or getting people's attention, he's not conscious of the snake's charm, of the snake's spell. And the snake says, yes, you think you're charming me, but I'm charming you. It's, in a sense, the world that's deceiving us, and we think we're getting the world, but no, it's the world that's deceiving us and attracting us and into its traps. The snake is saying, you think you're beguiling me with the name of God, but no, it's the name of God that's catching me, not you, not your deceitfulness, but you've made the name of God a trap. You're using the name of God for your own greed and your own agenda, right? Woe to you. نام حق بستاند از تو داد من به نام حق سپردم جانتن. And the snake is saying, I'm submitting to the name of God, but the name of God will take vengeance from you one day. And yes, so in a sense, this woman is upset. So she's saying one day the name of God will take vengeance from you because of what you're doing to me. Yes, Badabur.
Earlier on in the section, it talks about nay, empty-bellied nay. Towards the end.
Oh yes, I found it here. چون نی اشکم توهی در نالشی. It's here. Yes.
Yes, thank you. So, in the context of this speech here, this character speaking, that's a criticism, right? You're saying you're like just like an empty pipe.
Yes.
But that seems to be, I would imagine there's more going on with this symbol than just that, because Mawlana makes so much use of the nay in a number of different ways. So I wonder what might lie behind that reference, if anything.
So usually, yes, in Mawlana, usually it's a positive thing, the empty-bellied nay, right? But if you've become empty for Allah, then that's a positive thing. You're empty of everything else and you're fully devoted to Allah. But in this case, the woman is saying, no, that's a deceit. You're not emptied for Allah. You just don't have anything.
Maybe it's a bit like the snake charmer. You know, you have this skill and this amazing talent, and it can make seemingly miraculous things happen, but you're only doing it so that you can catch the snake and make money from it. Maybe it's that.
Yeah. And another way to read the same couplet is, you're not actually empty. You're not a true nay. You're not a real nay. A real nay is completely empty, but you're contending with dogs for the sake of a bone. So in your heart, there is that desire, right? So you're not a true nay, like the nay in the nay name. The nay in the nay name, and the heart is totally emptied for Allah. But you cry like that. You pretend to be a nay. You're wailing like a nay, like a reed pipe, but inside you there is that desire for the bones, like the dogs. So that's another way to do that.
Makes sense. So the theme of this section is pretense, insincerity, I suppose.
Insincerity, yeah,
Something
exactly. Because the husband talked about contentment, right? Now, Mawlana is going to show us that, yes, contentment is good, but be careful. There are people who are pretentious. Their contentment is not real contentment. And Mawlana shows us the other side through the argument of the wife, right? So the wife is saying, yes, contentment is a treasure, but so long as your heart is devoted to Allah. If your heart is looking for bones, like dogs, and you just pretend to be a dervish, that's not true dervishhood. That's not true Sufism. So, yeah, that's what the wife is saying. Yeah. Yes, but
remember reading an author whose name I can't remember, talking about sabr, and the essential point was that there are different kinds of sabr. There are good kinds of sabr and bad kinds of sabr. So a good kind of sabr is something that encourages you to have patience towards something worthwhile, like ultimately to Allah, the journey to Allah.
Yeah.
But if you're patient in planning an evil deed, then that's not a good thing. That's a very bad thing.
Yes.
So maybe it's a bit like that.
Yeah.
You know, so your intention is the key determining factor. So correct your intention.
100%, exactly. So yeah, she's saying your intentions are not pure. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Alija.
I think the reference to snake also has kind of a double meaning, right? Because a snake symbolically represents deceitfulness and evil, and the fact that some so-called dervishes or Sufis, they have the skill of catching snakes. Spiritually, it's sort of, they try to show that we have our deceitfulness and the evil of our heart under control. But in reality, as Mawlana writes, they're captured by the snake, they're captured by their deceitfulness and by the evil. So it's the other way around spiritually as well.
Absolutely.
But I think also that, perhaps we see this as well in our society, that some individuals who lack the conscientiousness and the work ethic to struggle in life, to use spirituality and faqr and poverty as an excuse to not work hard, not to struggle in life. Because, of course, our religion doesn't say that we should not work hard to provide a comfortable and good life for our family. Of course, it doesn't make any sense to say that, okay, I don't want to buy a car, I just want to walk 30 kilometers every day back and forth to work because I'm a dervish. That's, of course, completely meaningless. So it should not be an excuse for not working hard and not struggling in life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like the lion was saying earlier on in The Lion and the Beasts. The lion said, "Ab dar keshti halak keshti ast." If the water comes inside the ship sinks. But if the water is outside the ship, it's the support for the ship, right? So if dunya, if the worldly possessions, if they come into your heart, if they enter your heart, that's the problem, right? Chist dunya az khuda ghafil shudan. When you forget God, that's the problem. But as long as they're not in your heart and you use them as a support for your faith, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Yes, brother.
I suppose that ultimately it's a question of if you're able to purify your own intention and to then you gain insight into yourself and then also into others around us. So around you. So you can see things more clearly, and the saint Mawlana and others see very clearly the difference between pretension and reality, and so they're able to advise us. We can cover our pretense in all sorts of different kinds of packaging, but it's still pretense, right? But your jewel can come in all sorts of boxes, a really fancy one or a really plain one, but it's still a jewel. So I guess
totally
intention.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any other thoughts, reflections? Okay, so I guess we could read the next section. So, yes, Badabler.
The section, the end of this section is quite interesting. You beguile me with the name of God. It's like magic. That sounds like some sort of magic. You know, how people. It's what is coming through for me is I should be very careful about what I use, or how I say or use, so to speak, anything that I learn from Mawlana. Am I using that to share, or am I using that to entrap? Because that's so very, very, very dangerous.
Totally.
Yeah, either it will sever the vein of your life, or it will bring you to a prison. So
absolutely,
care is needed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not to use the name of God for your own agenda. Exactly. That's what the wife is emphasizing here. Okay. So the next section is the man is replying, and he's saying, "Don't look with contempt on the poor. در فقیران به خواری منگر و در کار حق به گمان کمال نگر." And consider the work of God as perfect. And don't revile the poor. Don't think that poverty is a bad thing. It's pride, as the Prophet said. So yes, inshallah, let's read this section.
O woman, said he, are you a woman or the father of sorrow? Poverty is pride, and do not you beat me on the head. Wealth and gold are as a cap to the head. It's the bald man that makes the shelter of his cap. He that has curly and beautiful locks is happier when his cap is gone. The man of God resembles the eye, therefore sight is better bare than covered. When a slave dealer offers for sale, he removes from the slave the garment that hides defects. But if there be any defect, how should he strip? No, he tricks him by means of the garment. This one, says he, is ashamed of good and evil, and stripping him would cause him to run away from you. The merchant is plunged in vice to the ears. The merchant has money, and his money covers his vice. For because of greed, none that's covetous sees his vice. Greedy feelings of cupidity are a bond uniting hearts. And if a beggar speak a word like the gold of the mine, his words will not find their way to the shop. The affair of poverty is beyond your comprehension. Do not look on poverty with contempt, because dervishes are beyond property and wealth. They possess an abundant portion from the Almighty. The High God is just, and how should the just behave tyrannously to the dispirited? Give fortune and goods to that one, while they put this one on the fire. The fire burns him, because he has this thought about the Lord who created both worlds. Is poverty is my pride false? No. It is thousands of hidden glories and disdains. You in anger have poured nicknames on me. You've called me a catcher of friends and a snake catcher. If I catch the snake, I extract its fangs, in order that I may save it from having its head crushed. Because those fangs are an enemy to its life. I'm making the enemy a friend by means of this skill. Never do I chant my spell from desire. I have turned this desire upside down. God forbid, I desire nothing from created beings. Through contentment, there is a world within my heart. You on top of the pear-tree see like that. Come down from it, that the thought may not continue. When you turn round and become giddy, you see the house turning round, and it is you who are that.
So let's go back and have a look at the man's argument. Okay, گفت ای زن تو زنی یا ابوالحسن. Are you my wife or are you the cause of all my sorrows? Right? Are you the father of sorrow? Poverty is pride. فخر آمد مرا بر سر مزن. Poverty is my pride. مال و زر سر را بود همچون کلاه. Property and wealth, they're just like the cap that covers a head. Now, if it's a bald person, right, they would like to have a cap on, right, as a shelter. But one who has curly hair, so curly hair is beautiful for Mawlana, right? Beautiful hair, right? They don't care if the cap is gone. So basically, what property does, what wealth does, is it covers your faults. It covers your deficiencies, what you lack in soul, in your those who are rich inside. They don't need wealth to feel fulfilled, right? What wealth does is when you don't have that fulfillment, there is that void, and you try to fill it with something else. That's what possessions are. But the man of God, the people of God, they're like the eye, and it's better if the eye is uncovered. Right? Sight is better when it's bare. And then he gives the example of the slave dealer, right? When he's selling a slave that has defects, the clothes will be on, right? But if the slave has a perfect body, they will bear him, right? So again, Mawlana is saying, or the husband is saying, the rich people, that money covers their faults, covers their vice. از طمع عیبش نبیند طامعی گشت دلها را طمعها جامعی. So they have a lot of money, and what that money does is others are attracted to that money. It's, in a sense, uniting their hearts, and they don't see his defects, this man's defects, because of the money. So that money, that wealth, acts as a cover for all defects and vices. And if it's a beggar, if it's someone who doesn't have anything, possessions, material possessions, even if he has a lot of wisdom and he talks, his words are like gold of the mine. No one will pay attention to him. His items will not find a way to the shop. So this man is saying you cannot understand how great poverty is. So کار درویشی ورای فهم توست. This is beyond your understanding. Because the dervishes have riches beyond possessions of this world, beyond the kingdoms of this world. They have sustenance from Allah directly. حق تعالی عادل است و عادلان کی کنند استمگری بر بیدلان. Allah Ta'ala is just, and those who are just do not act cruelly to those who have no other support, to the dispirited. So if you have this negative opinion about Allah, if you think that Allah will, because we are poor, he will be burn us, or he will be cruel to us. The fire burns those who have this negative opinion about Allah. Those who know that Allah is merciful and Allah is loving, they will not be burnt in that fire. So again, the man is reminding his wife, don't you know about the saying of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? He said, al-faqru fakhri, poverty is my pride. He didn't say wealth is my pride, right? Poverty is my pride. The poor are blessed, right? Jesus also says, blessed are the poor. So it's always poverty. As azab bar man laqabha randi. In anger, you called me all these names, right? You called me a snake, you called me snake catcher. But what I do is, if I catch the snake, I'll extract its fangs. So, what makes the snake an enemy are the fangs. Man adura mikana. And I'm making that, man adura mikonam zin ilm dus, but I'm making that snake a friend, right? So in a sense, the true Sufis, even if they're seeking the world, they're seeking world for Allah. They're seeking what they're seeking. Everything they're seeking, it's for Allah. So they take those fangs of the world away from the world, right? Those fangs are forgetfulness of Allah. Those fangs are forgetting the remembrance of Allah. But I'm taking that away. So I'm making that enemy a friend. I'm making the world, dunya, a friend when I remember Allah. And when I seek what I seek, everything I seek for Allah. And I don't chant my spell because of desire, because of greed. I don't have that greed in me. Hasha lillah, God forbid. I don't desire anything from created beings. As qina'at dar dil man alam ist. I have an entire world within me. Why do I need validation from others? Bar sar amrud bun bini chunan. You see like that from the top of the pear tree. Zan furuda ta namanat an goman. So come down from the pear tree so that you don't have this illusion. There's a story about the pear tree in, I think it's in the fifth or sixth book of the Masnavi. Do you know this story? Yeah. So it's an interesting story. It's a bit humorous, and so there's this woman that has a married woman who has a lover, and the lover makes a condition that you should make love with me in front of your husband, right in front of your husband. And this woman comes up with a trick. So she climbs a pear tree. She climbs a pear tree and she says to her husband, so you stay down there, I'm going to pick some pears. And the husband says, fine. So the woman climbs the pear tree, and she looks at her husband. She looks at her husband and says, who is that woman with you? Why are you making love with another woman? Something like that. And the husband says, there's no one else here. It's just me. That's an illusion. And then the woman insists, no, there's someone else. I can see clearly. Do you think I'm blind? And the husband says, no, there's no one else. Maybe it's because of that pear tree. Maybe that pear tree is bewitched. Maybe that pear tree is making you have these illusions. So the woman says, maybe. And she comes down and says, yeah, there was no one else. That was an illusion. And then the husband goes up. So I need to check this pear tree and see what's wrong with this pear tree. So the husband goes up, climbs the pear tree. And at this time, the lover, the woman's lover comes in, from behind a bush or something. And, they make love in front of the husband. And the husband says, who's that guy with you? Who's that man with you? And she says, there's no one else. There's no one else here. That's just an illusion. And the man insists. Again, the woman says, there's no one else. It's because of the pear tree. And the man says, yes, yeah, you might be right. It's this pear tree that's bewitched. And then he comes down, and then the man hides, the lover hides. But yeah, Mawlana is saying it's that forgetfulness. That's the pear tree, which makes us have these illusions. Makes us have these delusions and illusions, all sorts of delusions. They're all because of this pear tree of forgetting Allah. Yes, Ali.
I was also reminded of a story from the life of Imam Ali when he was in Kufa, when he was the Caliph. So the story goes that one day Imam Ali was giving a sermon in the mosque, in the central mosque of Kufa, and so one of his companions was coming to basically accompany him to the mosque. And so the companion of Imam Ali, he entered his house, and he saw that Imam Ali, he was just sitting there without his shirt. So the companion asked his slave, why is Amir al-Mu'mineen, why is Imam Ali, why is he not wearing his shirt? Is there a problem? And then the Qambar, his slave, said, no, he just washed his shirt and he's waiting for it to dry. And then the companion was bewildered. He was confused. He said, well, why doesn't he wear another shirt? I mean, we have to go. And Qambar said, well, he doesn't have any other shirt. He's the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He has only one shirt. And you see the one that I'm wearing, it's actually of higher quality than his.
Yep.
So that shows the level of poverty that Imam Ali had, and the level of contentment and satisfaction that he had.
Yep.
But then we also see in other instances, I mean, when he was in battle, when he was traveling, he did not have a horse which was limping. He did not have a blade that was dull. He had the best blade. He had the best horse. Whatever was within his economic capacity, he bought it. The best tools to defend the religion, to defend the deen, and to do the right thing. So there is, of course, value in using the tools correctly, but it is not to show the tools off. I think that it's, as Brother Abdurrahman said, it all comes back to intentions.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, Brother.
I also remember reading a story of Hazrat Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, in which one a man came to him and said, "Why do you
Mhm.
always wear these fine clothes? Look at you.
Yep.
Are you not like, the grandson of the Prophet?
Yes.
Look at you." But then he said, "Okay, well, something like, okay, let's have a look." And inside the nice clothing was a
Mhm.
very rough,
Yes.
nasty,
Absolutely.
difficult garment. So
Yes.
things are not always what they seem, right?
Yes.
Things are not always
Absolutely.
what they seem. So it's difficult.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a beautiful story about Sayyidina Imam Jafar al-Sadiq. So they tell him, what are these fine clothes you're wearing, right? And then he has that coarse thing inside, and then he says, "This is for hadha lil-haq wa hadha lil-khalq." This is for Allah, and this is for the people. So
And also, I remember reading
Mhm.
in much the same way as Brother Ali
Mhm.
was just saying, that in terms of um, um, usefulness for
Mhm.
Allah, for Islam, for the community,
Mhm.
that Jafar al-Sadiq would wear those clothings so that Islam would be represented well, even though on the
Yep.
inside, as you say,
Mhm.
that he was wearing something different. So tools for a purpose,
Yep.
they're not the same thing as the
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's a difficult lesson for us to learn. I think it's
Mhm.
not
Yep.
it's not a straightforward lesson for us.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Yes, Madaba.
Sorry, could the so the pear tree, you relate the story. I remember the story after hearing you refer to it. The next line after that, when you turn round and round and become giddy, you see the house turning round, and it is you that are that, essentially, what it seems
Yes.
to say.
Yes.
So there are two things there.
Mhm.
You seeing everything upside down because you're turning around so much in your greed and what have you.
Yep.
Also, this is comes across to me as a bit like the reference to the nay,
Mhm.
insofar as this seems like whirling, right? Sima.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
But there's the Sima, I suppose you might say, the Simai Haq, and the Simai Batil, for other things, Hulk maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
And so if
Totally.
you look at things,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have much experience of actually whirling myself,
Mhm.
but I observe that when you try to look at something stationary, or at least it,
Mhm.
it makes me incredibly dizzy really quickly, and I
Mhm.
have to stop.
Yep.
But if you're able to look at something more fixed,
Mhm.
or in other words, the real Allah is what is really fixed, then it's different. So it seems to be another inversion of
Mhm.
a symbol. It's interesting.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. There's something similar to that in Mawlana's quatrains, رباعیات. So he says, کشتی که به دریای روان میگذرد میپندارند نیستان میگذرد. When the ship is passing by the reed bed. When the ship is passing in the sea, people think that the reed bed is passing. People think that the reed bed is moving, but it's the ship that's moving. But the passengers on the ship, they think that the reeds are moving. And then Mawlana says, "Ma migozarim zin jahan dar rihlat." It's us who are moving towards death, and we think that time is passing. We think that time is passing, but it's us who are passing. It's us who are moving.
Yeah, Haq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, here it says, if you turn around, you think that everything is turning around, but no, it's you who are turning around. So we always see things from our own perspective. And the next section, I'm just checking how. Yeah, probably it's best to read that fully next time. But yeah, the next section, it's all about this, that people look at things from their own perspective. from where they are, right? Everyone's movement proceeds from the place where he is, right? So you see everything from your own frame of reference. A blue glass shows the sun as blue. If you put blue glasses on, you see everything as blue. You see pink, you put pink glasses on, you see everything as pink. Red glasses as red, right? When the glass escapes from color. But true vision is when you remove the glasses. There's no color, there's colorlessness. Then you see things for what they are. And yeah, that's the story that Abu Jahl goes to the Prophet and he says, how ugly you are. And the Prophet says, yes, you're right. You're honest. You're speaking the truth. And yet truth telling in Arabic, it doesn't mean saying what's factual. It means saying what's in your heart, right? So in Arabic, when you say someone is Sadiq, it means they tell what's inside their heart. Even if it's not factual, it's not true in the English sense, right? So Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, yes, you have spoken truth. And then Abu Bakr comes and says, you're the sun. You're the sun that's neither from the east, neither from the west. So shine beautifully, shine graciously. And Sayyidina Rasulullah, he says, yes, you're right. You're saying the truth. You're telling the truth. And the companions are amazed. They say, these two people, they said different things, contrary things. How can both of them be telling the truth? And then Rasulullah, he says, I'm a mirror. I'm a mirror. So everyone sees in me what they are. Right? So I'm a mirror polished by the hand. So what you see in me, it's you. Right? Those who see ugliness, it's their ugliness. You see your own ugliness reflected. Those who see beauty, you see your own beauty. So if you really want to understand, if you really want to see the beauty of Rasulullah, you need to become beautiful. If you want to see the beauty of Allah, you need to become godly. You need to become beautiful, because like can see like. So yeah, that's the next section. So inshallah, we can go into more detail next time. Any thoughts, comments, reflections? Yes, Ali.
Yeah, I think it comes it comes back to intentions, right? As we have spoken about before.
Yep.
I mean, I totally see that, nowadays, especially a lot of the youth, perhaps a lot of people who are in my generation or kind of Gen Z, as we like to say, they are a lot of into these get rich schemes. Watch this guy, he has 20 Lamborghinis, and you can do this and this and that, and you're gonna get a few as well. So all of the get rich schemes is kind of like, as Mawlana wrote before, for individuals who do not have the work ethic to work hard and make money, but they want the money, they have the greed. So they want to get there as quickly as possible. On the other hand, of course, if somebody is really working hard to gain wealth in order to, let's say, build a mosque or support his family, maybe his mother or his father has a sickness and he needs that wealth to provide for them, then of course that's something that is completely different. That is not seeking wealth for the sake of wealth, but gaining the tool for a greater purpose. And those two things are, of course, worlds apart from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, it's all about intentions, right? So, again, like the example with Hazrat Ali and Jafar al-Sadiq, right? Hazrat Ali would wear simple clothes, and he was the ruler of the community, but because of the poor, right, that lived, he wanted to live like the poor, and that's acceptable. And with Hazrat Jafar al-Sadiq, he would wear fine clothes, because as a scholar, that would be to be taken seriously. That was like how it was, right? So to represent these realities in a better way, right? He would wear those fine clothes. But what ultimately matters is not the outward, whether it's outwardly or you have the best clothes or rags, or you have the best car or nothing. What matters is the heart and your intentions and what you want that car for. What do you want those clothes for? If everything is for Allah, if your poverty is for Allah and your wealth is for Allah, that's the true path. That's the true richness. When different people, Allah Ta'ala has intended different paths for them. For some, the way is poverty. Then the way is rags, wearing rags. For some, the way is wearing fine clothes, but inside having those rags for Allah, right? So it's all about the path that's intended for us and having that pure intention. Yes, put out there.
Just very quickly to add on to that, you know, you see all of these YouTube videos, you know, my property empire, my 17 Lamborghinis, my this, that, and the other. You know, I've got this Learjet flying in. So why are you advertising your stuff on YouTube? You know, you know, why are you trying to persuade people who live in some backwater in West London, where I happen to live? You know, what? And also then, but behind the scenes, the people filming the video, when the film set probably finishes, that man probably goes home on a bus or in another car. The point that I'm making is that there's so much fraud.
So much fraud. Yeah,
so
exactly.
much deception and so much fraud. And when you are not wary and you're not, you lose your focus of that Allah is the, you know, the center. Sometimes Allah will give you wealth, sometimes He won't. But the center is, we try to always make it Allah. If you stray from that, and we all do, I suppose, you then fall prey to the, you know, all of the hucksters and charlatans and thieves and criminals out there who just want to rob you for your money, and they don't care how they get it. You know, so it's important, which is kind of a bit like Abu Jahl story here. You know, he is the ugly figure that sprung from the sons of Hashim, not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely.